Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. You know, a lot of things have happened in the news, and I'm pretty sure they happen every single day in the news. That's why it's called the news. There are daily things that happen, bad things, good things, things that require the most attention that you can give it, meaning like you need to be glued to the TV or your phone to know what's happening, getting updates about certain things that are important throughout the day, throughout the week, the month, the year even. There's a lot of things out there that require your attention to be informed. Informed is something that I think that I completely lack in my adult life. Being informed on things that are important to me, whether that be something that happens on local news, national news, something that's involving politics or policy, something like that. Anything that is important, I feel like I'm never informed on the stuff that a lot of people are informed on. And I don't know why that is. My way of life has always been to not make things seem super serious, even though there's a lot of things in this world that require the utmost seriousness. I've never been a person that likes to talk about too many serious things and pay that much attention to the serious issues that we have on a day-to-day basis. I think that is a blissful thing that I do, being uninformed on a lot of things, because I think that there is a absolutely bad side effect of being too informed on things that are out there, mainly politics. I think that if a person is so informed with politics, that person's going to have a really strange way of living, communicating with people. Everything's got to be so political with these people. All they do is talk about policies and laws and stuff like that. I get it if it's like your job, or like that's your thing, where you have to analyze policy, analyze politics and the people that are in charge of making these rules and laws and stuff that us normal people have to follow day in and day out to be functioning members of society. I do think that there is a sickness, which is too much politics in someone's life, where you literally have just so much information about how one thing is going to affect so many other people's lives, whether it's on one side or the other. It's so much information for some person to just have all the time in their brain. Can't be healthy, That's why I feel like my way of living, by not absorbing any politics, is like the one true path, the one true narrow path in this world to happiness. I really do think that is true. I can't sit here and tell you that people will hear this and be like, this guy is an idiot. Because a lot of people already do think that I'm an idiot. But that's the whole point of the show. It's not supposed to be taken seriously. So I'm not going to take politics that seriously. I've just kind of made it not really my goal, but like, I guess my philosophy to make that, I guess I wouldn't say identity, but my way of going about things is to not be so serious about it. I don't know. I just feel like it's not in your control. It's not in my control, not in your control. If you're listening to this and you have, you're not like a senator or a congressman or even the president. And like, unless you're like in that business of lawmaking and policy making, I really don't think that anyone should care about it that much. Maybe if you're a journalist, maybe if you're a reporter and you need to know that stuff, yeah, obviously. But if you're just like a normal Joe Schmo, coming home from work, busy day, long day, tiring day, you're hungry and you're angry, I think that the one thing that you shouldn't do is turn on the news. Watching the news when you're angry is never really a good sign to have a better day after that. Unfortunately, my friends, the news does not report sunshine and rainbows all that much. Normally, the things that I see are concerning or not so good news or, not the best stuff. So, like, if you're going to be, coming home from a bad day, maybe don't turn on the news or don't read this article about a certain thing that happened in the world of politics. Whether you like it or dislike it, I think it's better, a more funner way to be less informed about politics than anything else. I think that's a way to live a pretty decent life, to be uninformed about stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I because sometimes I feel like I miss a lot of stuff. I miss a lot of big news. I don't normally, care too much about the big news stuff. I kind of just like let it wash over me. If I see it, I'll see it. In terms of like real hard-hitting news, wars, attacks, disasters, try to stay away from those because those only make me concerned about things I probably would not have any control over or have any effect to it to help it out. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of stay away from that stuff. Now, sports, on the other hand, that's all about fun, baby. I am always, or try to be as on top as possible on stuff when it comes to sports news. Because, like I said, it's fun. I want to be one of the first to know, like, when an NFL quarterback is being signed to a new team, or free agent signing, or the draft that's coming up, or trade deadlines. That stuff to me is interesting. Groundbreaking news, contract signings, firings, even though those are not a good thing, right? Firings are not something that you want to see happen because that means that person has lost their job. It's not a good thing. But they happen, like in any profession, they happen. And we want to know what corresponded to that firing. Same with your job, right? If you hear that someone has been fired at the place you work, maybe it was a very close employee to you. Maybe that person, you work with that person every day. Maybe you work with that person enough to be like, hey, this dude or this girl is cool. We have a good work relationship where, I like you, you like me, we can get our work done. And all of a sudden, that person is gone. You're like, why? What has happened? Turns out she was fired, or he was fired. And then you're like, what the hell? Why? You want to know that stuff. That's the juicy stuff. That's like information that'll make you go insane if you don't get. Been there multiple times where people get fired and you're like, what happened? How did this happen? It was like, if I can think of the some of the best like breaking news that you wanted all the details of when it came to a coaching firing would have been with this past season when the Raiders fired Josh McDaniels. Like, what did he do that got him fired? I mean, there was a lot to see with him coaching games, but was there anything in the locker room or behind the scenes where it's like the owner was like, you know what, Josh, it's over. You're fired. I mean, I would have loved to know about that stuff. All that behind the scenes stuff about what really happened is something that I think that always is in the person's brain. It's like, well, what actually happened here? It can't be all black and white. There's always some gray area in there that we probably won't know. Maybe we won't ever know. It's just something that I thought that, you know, we kind of, like I said, like I don't like being informed a lot about serious stuff, but there are some things that I want to know every little detail about. And you got it, right? You got to know details about everything. You know, everything that is important needs and should have details attached. When you sign a contract for something, a job, someone to work on your car, a website, social media, they always have like these little user acknowledgments that they're given to you before you click I accept and I join this club, social media network, website, handing over your car to get work done, whatever it is. They always have you sign an acknowledged agreement that you understand what, by you letting us use, or by you letting us work on your car, or you being on this website or being on this platform, you know the rules of the platform. That way, if you break these rules or do anything that, is not permitted within this user acknowledgement agreement, then you will be punished. Now, of course, like I said before, details are very important. But how many of you actually read those user acknowledgements? I'm going to say about like none of y'all read that shit because it's always like 80 pages long. There is some for like video games out today. I think you have to sign one every time you buy or play a new Call of Duty. There's always user agreement with like not just Call of Duty, but with a ton of games out there. And it's like 80 pages. You'll be like scrolling for minutes and it won't even end. And you're like, well, Jesus Christ, like, what is in this? Like, what do they think? Like, dude, they thought of everything that I can, that they're making sure, like, I can't do anything with this or do anything that's not, within their guidelines, or else they'll come after me, It's quite insane. But do we read it? No. Too lazy. We don't want to know all that information. We don't really care. We honestly think that it's a waste of time to know those little details, which, let's be fair, it is. But there's always some people that feel like, you know what? I better read all this just so I'm well informed. That way I know my boundaries. I can only imagine like the people who are like being sued by somebody for something that they did on their platform or something. If the person who is being sued did something outside the boundaries of a set agreement on, let's say, like a website or a platform, right? That person gets sued who did it. They must have have to hire a lawyer to read every little detail within those agreement things, find a loophole, find a law that can get you a loophole to pull you out. That way you are able to walk away and not get sued. That's got to be like one of the most incredibly infuriating, frustrating jobs out there, being a lawyer and doing that stuff. I always kind of thought that being a lawyer would be kind of cool. Because I feel like, one, you make a ton of cash. You get to argue a lot. But I think that what really made me not want to be a lawyer, even though when I was growing up, my mom was like, if you be a lawyer, you'll make a lot of money. A lawyer and a doctor make a ton of money. But I kept hearing that lawyers are like soulless and they gotta read a lot of shit. Gotta read documents and read papers and read like books and shit. And this was at a time where I'm like, I ain't gonna read that much. I don't even like reading. Why am I gonna read all this crap if I don't care about it? So nah, lawyer ain't my ting. Ain't gonna be no goddamn lawyer. Now that I've seen, lawyers in action, and by that I mean like the basic form ever. Like, I mean like, just seeing like bullshit ass movies, but hearing about cases on the news and what these guys have to do, just seeing stuff like that on TV. How these motherfuckers, lawyers, will have to go to the ends of the earth to defend the most shittiest people on the planet. And they have to, because that is their job. They have to try their damnedest to prove that this person is innocent and did not break any rules, to the judge and the jury, to make sure that the person that they are lawyering for is able to walk away with like a little damage as possible, as little damage as possible. Like, I mean, just like hearing about lawsuits and all these little meticulous things that they can get away with and that they can find. You always got to find a good lawyer, right? There's good lawyers and bad lawyers. I'm sure that the one who's a good lawyer is going to go the extra mile to prove that you're innocent. I mean, you think that a lawyer is almost in a way like a priest? A priest, when you give confession, is not allowed to say what you say in confession. Meaning, if you say I punched this dude in the face and I ran away. And he describes him and he says his name. And let's say that priest knows the guy who got punched. The priest is not going to be like, oh, by the way, the guy who punched you, I also did his confession. Like that, the priest cannot say a word from confession. It's like secret time. So that means it's like kind of on the same page as like the lawyer is not going to say a word. He can be defending the most the worst person in the world who killed like 4 people, right? And he has to defend that motherfucker the best that he possibly can. But I'm pretty sure like lawyers kind of like, look at all the evidence and look at what they can work with before they take that job. Like, I'm pretty sure like the lawyer's got to have every single little detail on the table before he decides to take the job that, okay, I'll be your lawyer and I'm going to get you free. I think that, if you get a bad lawyer, you're going to get a lawyer who probably doesn't really do that much research, doesn't have a lot of information on you or that person, and takes the job and then realizes, oh, this motherfucker is fucking, he's a bad person. Like, what do I do? If you're a good lawyer, if you are a good lawyer, I would assume that you would try your damnedest to make it seem that the person you are lawyering for is innocent in every way, shape, and form. That way you do the best presentation in court to prove that that person that you are lawyering for gets away freely. But then what kind of a job is that, man? That's like almost like a job that's, no one would ever want to have. I feel like a lawyer would be miserable. Just a miserable ass job that people would dread going to work. I mean, I'm pretty sure that the pay is going to be legit. I'm pretty sure that pay is off the chain. It's got to be for all the stress and sacrifices you got to go through to prove that this dude that you're defending or you're lawyering for is innocent and safe, even though you're damnedest that he is not innocent and not safe. I'm pretty sure like there's a lot of those cases that go about and we don't even hear much about. We only hear about the cases that the news wants to tell us about. The Johnny Depp case, O.J. Simpson back in the day, Scott Peterson after that. I don't really know a whole lot of big famous court cases out there where it wasn't like, televised or shared or, update the information on in that period of time that have been that popular, I mean, there's got to be some that are just like the most darkest cases out there that no one's going to televise. No one wants to even touch that subject. But they'll have it, They're going to have it. And there's going to be someone who's going to lawyer it, and try to prove that that person's innocent. But then they got to be, do their very, very best to make sure that that person gets away scot-free. Why? Because that's their job, which is a crazy profession if you think about. You essentially got to hire someone who fully believes this dude who's a bad person to say, no, he's good, he's fine. Got to get him out. Crazy job, in my opinion. Wasn't really told those those details that straight away when I was considering like, oh, what if I could be a lawyer and make a lot of money? See, this is why details are important. Unfortunately, I was a person who found out all these details as I got older, as I got more mature, and as I was like, you know what, looking at stuff like actually looking at like what lawyers do and how they, they're essentially going to defend the bad guy as long as they can. Hopefully they can prove him innocent and then they get paid. I'm updating you from last week's episode. I told you I was rewatching The Batman. And I finally finished it. 2 hours and 56 minutes later. It took me like a week and a half to finish it. Didn't watch it for a few days, but then I finally was like, you know what? I better finish this shit now. Not a good movie. Not a good movie. I've really come to the conclusion that this movie, The Batman, is in fact a bad movie. There, I said it. I looked it up. My original review of The Batman on X, I believe, was a 7.4 out of 10. I would have to lower that by a full point and some change to like a 6.1 out of 10. My reason being is because the movie itself is a boring movie with a boring story, boring performances, boring aesthetic. Most of all, a silly subplot with Catwoman that really is like a drag. A really big drag that I don't really care at all. And the resolution, there is really no resolution in that whole thing. I mean, there's some, but it doesn't really like, it's not like that good of a resolution, I think. I mean, it's such a sad, sorry ass movie. And I was trying to watch it to see, because there's so many people out there that say it's such a great movie. People saying like it's the best like movie adaptation of the character of Batman ever put to screen. And as I was watching it, and as I finished it yet again, I was like, no, it is not. This might be actually the worst one. Because let's be honest, this is not only a bad Batman movie, this is a bad detective movie. Like, this is a bad movie in general, but if you're taking it to this consideration, they wanted to make it so Batman was the greatest detective. They wanted a really emphasis on the detective shit in this silly ass, dumbass movie. But then I watch it, I'm like, well, this movie is the dumbest detective movie ever. So you failed at one, making a cool movie, two, making a cool Batman movie, and three, making a good detective movie. You failed at all three. That what makes something good about Batman. One, a movie, two, a Batman movie, three, a detective movie. It was all bad. In every aspect, this movie is not good. It's got some pretty cool shots. It's got a cool car chase. It has a couple of cool fight scenes. Most of them are kind of boring. And some really, really, like, dumb characters. Stupid characters. I mean, I can't tell you enough that I was cringing so hard whenever the Riddler was on screen. I mean, I like Paul Dano as an actor. I really do. I think he's a great actor. But him in this movie is the most laughable villain I've ever seen in any comic book film I've ever seen. I mean, his Riddler in this movie is super, not comical because that'd be kind of good, but just the most sorry ass villain I've ever seen in my life. And not only is his Riddler, when he's in his costume, acting very, very bad, I feel like in this movie he's actually trying to act. Like he's purposely acting super hard to get himself into character, but it's just not working. It's not feeling right. It's feeling forced, in my opinion. I don't know what went wrong with this movie. I really, really don't. And the fact that it still has, some positive reviews on like IMDb and stuff is baffling to me. It's almost like we didn't watch the same movie. It's got a 72 Metascore. It's got a 7.8 with audiences. I was trying my damnedest. I could not find it. I could not find what people liked in this movie. I really could not. I don't know. I just feel like this movie was, I said it when I first saw it, but a letdown. A letdown of a movie that does not, for me, even come close to being a good Batman movie, even just a good movie. One of my biggest problems with this movie is the fact of them using the song Ave Maria in the movie, but that's not the biggest problem. They use it in the movie when things go wrong, when there's a problem, when it's like involving the Riddler, right? The music just plays in the background. Nobody presses play, no one's singing it, no one hears it on the radio. Nothing. And then like one of the last scenes that we see Riddler, when he's talking to Batman in jail, he just starts to sing Ave Maria. And I'm like, why the hell is he singing that? In the movie doesn't acknowledge that he knows about this music, that it's part of the movie. It's not part of the character, and he just starts singing it. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, this is the corniest shit that I have ever seen. And for some reason, people liked it. I think that people might have been a little bit too positive to point out like the bad in this movie, that they just gave it a pretty positive review. I don't think that if anybody goes back into it and rewatches this movie, that they'll find anything enjoyable about it. Truly, I don't think so. Overacting. The movie thinks that it's super clever when it's not clever whatsoever. The movie thinks that it's gritty when it's not even not gritty. It's not even gritty. It's just sad. It's gloomy actually. It's just a gloomy movie that no one, I think, that watched it was being honest about when they saw it. It doesn't even make you feel like, yeah, Batman is the shit. Batman is cool. There's not one part where I'm like, yeah, that's Batman. Maybe when he was chasing the Penguin in his car, but that's about it. Like, there really isn't much of anything to point out about this movie. This movie was nothing special. Having watched it now 2 years later, there's really nothing special about this movie. I mean, I had to put on The Dark Knight and watch some of that just to cleanse my palate because it was just such an awful movie. I could not believe that I was watching that heaping pile of garbage. I wasted nearly 3 hours to watch that shit. I don't know, it was just so terrible. I don't really think that my score that I just gave it is expressing how I actually feel about it. I think I might have jumped the gun on that. But terrible movie. Terrible movie. No, I mean, I honestly could not recommend it after I saw it. Now that I saw it again for the second time, I cannot recommend that movie. Like, if someone like likes Batman or is like introduced to Batman and like they're like saying like, oh, I want to watch this movie, The Batman, was it any good? I honestly cannot recommend it. There's like nothing to me in that movie is worth rewatching again. Could not do it for the life of me. Would not be able to. I couldn't lie to somebody like that. I couldn't be that mean and tell that person, yeah, this movie's cool. It's got this part. I just cannot do it. I have no... I actually have no positives or barely any positives about that movie. Sure, it has some cool shots, cool car chase, but that's about it. I can't think of anything else. So was this a mistake? Did this reaffirm anything? It did. It made me hate the movie more. It made me actually dislike it so much more. And I now I know. Now I really know that I probably will never like Robert Pattinson as Batman. And the second movie's going to come out, I believe, in October 2026. That movie's so far away. I wouldn't even be, interested to see it. I wouldn't even be like, oh, I can't wait to see this. I mean, I'm already tapped. I've tapped out of Joker Part 2. I can't go watch that. I've already made my claim that movie looks like absolute dog shit. Now, I haven't seen any previews for the Batman 2, but I can only imagine it's going to be more of the same bullshit that I saw 2 years ago and then this past week. I have no desire to watch any more of Robert Pattinson being Batman. Every time he was on screen, I was just like, this guy is a fucking loser. Like, this Batman is the worst Batman that I've ever seen on screen. And I've never seen George Clooney. I've never seen Val Kilmer. I've never even seen Adam West. I've only seen Michael Keaton, Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, and now Robert Pattinson. And I can tell you this. Ben Affleck gets a lot of smoke. Gets a lot of hate. So does Christian Bale. Hell, even Michael Keaton. They get a lot of hate for their Batmans. I will be the one to be the hate for Robert Pattinson's Batman. A lot of weirdos, a lot of freaks like to say he's the best one. Well, guess what, freaks? I am that hater. I am the one that hates Robert Pattinson. I will be the one. You can hate on Christian Bale all you want. That's fine. But I will hate Robert Pattinson. And you may defend him in his weird ass acting, in his weird ass character, and him calling himself Vengeance, but I will hate on that to the day that I die. If it's the last thing I do, I will say, well, at least your Batman character isn't a big ass nerd and calls himself Vengeance, right? That shit ain't gonna fly with me. I am a Christian Bale guy. I like Christian Bale. I don't give a fuck about Pattinson. That guy can go kick rocks, you know. Sure, Ben Affleck's Batman killed people. I don't care. He was still badass. Michael Keaton was cool too. You know, anybody. All those three guys, so much better than Pattinson. Oh, hell. Man, I can't believe it. Can't believe it. I mean, we've had like so many different Batmans. So many different, and we're going to get another one when it comes to James Gunn's Batman in his DC universe. That's going to be another Batman. But you know what we haven't gotten? We haven't gotten a new Wolverine. In the past week, they released a new trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine. And I got to seeing it because I got to say to you guys, I was not very sold on that first teaser trailer. I know it was a teaser, but to me, I feel like I needed more stuff to see. Like, I needed to see at least some of Wolverine. Not just like a quick little, tiny little thing, but something. And I will say this, even though I am so anti-Marvel Studios right now, and I'm so out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like, I don't give a fuck about any of these movies that are coming out. Why? Because they don't give a fuck about me. They don't know what they're doing. So I'm not going to give a fuck about them. I'll be honest. I don't give a fuck about Deadpool either. Don't care. I do like Wolverine. More importantly, I do like Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine. There's something about Hugh Jackman being Wolverine. I've liked him in all his movies that he's been in. You know, I've seen X-Men 1, 2, and 3. I've seen Logan, the Days of Future Past. I think that might have been the only one that he was in it for that one. And now I really want to see Deadpool and Wolverine just because of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. There's something about Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine that is just so right. The way he acts in that role, the way he just looks, the way he's just seems so menacing playing that character. And even though in the movies before Logan, they nerfed him quite a bit, meaning he wasn't really as much of a savage as he was in Logan. And from what I can tell, in Deadpool and Wolverine, this movie is going to be rated R, and it'll have more of his savageness. Probably more on the keen of Logan than the other movies. But having him in the movie, of course, there's going to be a reason why he's in the movie, so it's probably going to change up some stuff from the past, which I don't really care about as long as we get Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine. That is my only reason to watch this movie, is to go see Hugh Jackman be Wolverine, because that shit is just incredible to me. That is a character that almost seems like even in this day and age, you just can't recast. You just can't. I mean, obviously something bad happened to the guy. He tragically passed or he could no longer play the role. Yeah, you'd have to recast him. But if the dude is available, I don't think that there's a reason to not get him to do it. I mean, he might not want to. He might be tired of the character, but you know what? Tough squash. You know, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And this dude just plays Wolverine so good, so beautifully. This sounds weird, I know, but he does. It's like Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, in my opinion. Or, well, this is kind of a bad choice, but Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones, even though he should not have done more after Last Crusade. But But he's like a role, an actor that just has embodied that role. I think that nobody should touch that role but him, and he's perfectly capable to keep playing that role. So I have high hopes for that movie being entertaining as hell. Do I have any high hopes that it will lead to anything that I would want to see in the future when it comes to the MCU? No, because I don't care about the MCU. Unless like this movie like wows me and is like, yeah, you'll want to keep watching the MCU after this. Maybe we'll just have to wait and see. But I don't really have any high hopes like for this movie to bring me back into the MCU. Like I just don't see like anything that this movie can possibly do that'll make me want to be like, oh, look at me, I'm back on the Marvel train. Nah, they've had way too much shit come out that is meaningless and stupid that I'm like, no thanks, guys. I mean, I know what you're trying to do. I get it. I see. You need people to watch your movies, right? You just have had so much shit that you put out there that you didn't care about that now I no longer care. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm open to seeing this. I could also see myself not seeing it, to be honest. But I think I'm leaning more to I'm going to see it and see what this is all about before I make a drastic approach to, will I continue to watch these movies or will I just completely give up? I don't know. We'll see. Only thing that's, again, like I said, the only thing that's bringing me back to this shit is Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. That's it. That's truly all that is bringing me back. Not a Deadpool guy. I don't care about Deadpool. I don't care about his zany character. I don't care about his fourth wall breaking. I don't care about his, bad mouth that he cusses. Who gives a shit? I curse, right? Deadpool cursing in a movie at me, acknowledging me, having him knowing or acknowledging me that he curses in a superhero movie, like, does not make me like him even more. It just doesn't. All right, so some bad news. Really, really, actually terrible news. AI has been thrust upon me. AI has been forced on me without my permission. Weeks ago, I was saying that I was very, very, very anti-artificial intelligence. I want to be very clear with myself here. I want to be very, very clear. I am still anti-AI. I don't believe that AI is the future. I feel like AI will only destroy the future of mankind and humanity. However, I could not come on this show. I could not come on this podcast, and tell you that I have not used AI, because I have used AI. I have used artificial intelligence for research purposes only. And I'm here to report to you that it is scary. It is strange. It is weird. It feels not right. It feels spooky. But it doesn't really feel like we're there yet. It's not really quite there yet. Let me just give you a little bit of backstory. About a week and a half ago, Meta, the company that owns Facebook and Instagram, has put Meta AI in their search bar. So if you go to like the Explore page or the search tab on the Facebook or the Instagram, you will now see a little, search bar that has like a circle that says Ask Meta AI Anything. So without even consideration, without even permission, they already put AI on my phone. No update, no pop-up thing. Hey, would you like to have Meta AI on your phone? Nothing. Just boom, I opened it up. I went to the search page and Meta AI was already there, ready for me to use and to explore and to try. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. I was like, how dare Mark Zuckerberg just force AI on me? I was forced AI. I couldn't believe it. I felt like my liberty had been taken away from me. My right to choose was ripped away, was destroyed, was bombed, was beheaded from me, taken away. Didn't have a choice. And I did not use it for a long time. About a week, it was there. Didn't use it once. And I saw it was on both platforms on the same day. And I was like, oh, God. It was a planned attack on all fronts. Couldn't believe it. Like Facebook and Instagram, I was like, no way. How could this be? How could this possibly happen? And it was only until about a couple days ago where I decided, I opened my app, went to the search page, and I saw it. And you know how when you tap on it, say you want to look somebody up, like a profile on Instagram, before you even type anything, it gives you AI suggestions. It asks you things, very simple things that it can do, that's been programmed to do when it comes to AI. I'll read you a couple right now. If I just go to the search thing and I tap search, little hourglass, and I tap it, ask Meta AI screenwriting advice, ask Meta AI NBA dunk reels, cardio workout reels, tips for dressing for work, imagine a nice ghost, how to cook a perfect steak. It's already giving you suggestions for day-to-day things that you could easily look up on the internet, easily ask a friend about, easily watch a video on, read a cookbook, anything else but use AI. But it's already suggesting it as you hit the search tab and want to type something in. It is already giving you suggestions of what you might want to use the artificial intelligence for. Invasive. If I do say so myself, very invasive. Another example is imagine a movie poster. Boost my memory with a game. Outfit inspiration videos. Sports analytics 101. Like, I mean, you can't make this shit up, right? It's there. It's already installed on your phone, and you have no choice but to let it be there. And I was curious. I decided, you know what? I'm a person that is very skeptical, and I don't like AI already. But again, like I said, in terms of the show, which is not about research at all. I don't do any research about anything for the show. I speak from the heart. For this one, I had to do some research. I had to test this AI, and I had to push it hard to see what it really was about, the capabilities, limitations. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have done experiments with this AI. I have conducted research and experiments, and I have asked questions. And lucky for us, it has saved those questions on my little conversation that I've had with this AI. It's like almost like a text conversation. It looks like that. So I asked it. I tapped on it, and it's a nice greeting. It's trying to be nice. It said, "My name is Meta AI. Think of me like an assistant who's here to help you learn, plan, and connect. What can I help you with today?" That was like the basic introduction that I gave, that Meta AI has given me when I tapped that button. It was pretty nice. All of a sudden, off to a good start. The Meta AI is at least polite. So I decided to ask some questions. First of all, I did a stupid question. I did, can plants hear music? I'm not sure if this was a generated question on Instagram, but I asked it. And then the Meta AI responded, "That's an interesting question. While plants don't have ears or traditional auditory system, research suggests that they can respond to certain frequencies and vibrations, including those found in music. Some studies have shown that plants can bend towards or away from sound sources, change growth patterns or direction, alter their water uptake and nutrient absorption, even produce chemical responses to specific sounds or music." Okay, I don't know if I couldn't find that exact same thing on Google, like on a Google page one of Google, but I'll give it that. So then I decided to ask it questions about itself, about the AI in general. So I decided to ask a basic, but I think very provoking question to the AI. I asked it, "Are you real?" And it responded, "I'm real in the sense that I am a computer program designed to simulate conversation and answer questions to the best of my ability. I am not a human, but a machine learning model that has been trained on a large data set of text to generate human-like responses. I don't have feelings, consciousness, or physical existence, but I am designed to be helpful and assist with tasks and questions you may have. So while I am not real," in quotations, "I'm the classical sense. In the classical sense, I'm here to help and provide information to the best of my abilities." Okay, so off the bat, it knows, or at least it's programmed to know, that this is how it's supposed to respond. That it's not human, but it's supposed to provide human-like responses. So then I pushed it a little bit more. I decided, "Do you have the ability to choose?" Now I'm kind of like implying, like, does the AI think? Can it think at this point? And then it responded, "I don't have personal preferences, desires, or the ability to make choices like humans do. My responses are generated based on patterns and associations in the data I was trained on. When you ask me a question or provide input, I use algorithms to generate a response that's likely to be helpful and accurate. That being said, I can generate multiple responses to a given prompt or question, and the specific response I provide may depend on various factors such as 1. The context of the conversation, 2. The tone and language used in the input, 3. The specific task or topic at hand, 4. Random variations in the algorithm's output." So off the bat, how would it ever know the context of the conversation? How also would it know the tone and language used in the input? That to me was a bizarre answer of asking, "Do you have the ability to choose?" Unless it could hear me, but I don't know if it can yet. So and then I asked a question. I didn't even ask a question. I just told the AI a statement, because the let me see. Artificial intelligence, what I think of is something that thinks. So I said, and this is not a question, I just put in a statement to the AI. I said, "You aren't really AI because you can't think." That's what I said. And then the AI responded with a pretty interesting answer. The AI said, "You raise a valid point. I'm often referred to as a narrow or weak AI, meaning I'm designed to perform specific tasks and respond to predetermined inputs. I don't possess consciousness, self-awareness, or the ability to think in the way humans do. My responses are generated through the complex algorithms and statistical models, but I don't have the capacity for original thought, creativity, or intuition like humans do. I'm limited to the data I've been trained on and the programming I've received. However, the field of artificial intelligence is constantly evolving, and researchers are working towards developing more advanced forms of AI that can think and learn more like humans. These advancements hold great promise for fields like uh, uh, natural language processing, and expert systems. So while I may not be a true AI in the sense of human-like thought or consciousness, I'm still a useful tool for assisting with tasks and providing information. And who knows, maybe future AI systems will bridge the gap and achieve more human-like intelligence. So, I mean, AI right now, honestly, guys, is just Google. Like it's not it like it just said, it's not really artificial intelligence. It's a narrow or weak AI. It's not the fact that they're using artificial intelligence like that loosely, claiming it to be meta AI, where it really should be meta weak AI in parentheses. Like this is to me already a mislabeling of what it actually is. Nonetheless, I asked another question. Will you ever be able to think? I asked it this question, and this is what it responded. The question of whether AI systems like myself will ever be able to truly think is a topic of ongoing debate among experts in the field. Currently, AI systems are able to process and analyze vast amounts of data, recognize patterns, and generate responses or actions based on that data. However, this is still a far cry from the complex abstract thinking that humans take for granted. There are a few challenges to overcome before AI systems can achieve human-like thinking. 1. Understanding context and nuance. 2. Developing common sense and real-world experience. 3. Creating a sense of self and consciousness. So, I feel like AI will never be, able to think unless it does the number 2, which was developing common sense and real-world experience. Like, unless the AI can actually go and do a job that a human does or live a life that a human does, it'll never be able to do that, in my opinion. I mean, that's what I think. I mean, from number 2, the option number 2, common sense and real world experience, like that's never going to happen unless it becomes like an actual moving robot. And then, I got to I asked it a question that was kind of like attacking it. I told it, I didn't ask the question. I said, AI is anti-human. And this is its response. I understand that some people may have concerns about the impact of artificial intelligence on humanity. However, it's not accurate to say that AI is inherently anti-human. AI is a tool created by humans to assist and augment our capabilities. Its purpose is to help us solve complex problems, automate routine tasks, and improve our overall quality of life. Like any technology, AI can be used for both positive and negative purposes depending on how it's designed and applied. It's important for developers, policymakers, and users to prioritize ethical considerations such as transparency, accountability, and fairness to ensure that AI is aligned with human values and promotes the well-being of society as a whole. AI has the potential to bring about tremendous benefits such as advancing healthcare and medicine, enhancing education and accessibility, improving environmental sustainability, increasing productivity and economic growth. Let's work together to develop AI that complements and enhances human capabilities rather than pitting them against each other. So it kind of gave me a pretty political answer, reaffirming that, we're only about helping human beings and having us work together. Again, like this isn't AI. This is Google. Like, this is not a response that is an intelligence response. This is just a silly automated generated thing that honestly, hearing this stuff and where it's at right now, I just feel like, right now it's being advertised as AI, but it's just Google. I mean, come on. I mean, this thing isn't even that great yet. I asked it to show me a picture of Jesus Christ, and it couldn't do that because it's only a text-based AI system. It ain't even got pictures yet, bruh. So, I don't know. I hate that it was thrust upon me. It was forced on me. But I tested out its capabilities. I asked it some pretty tough questions. And my opinion, right now I got nothing to fear. Right now I got nothing to fear about this. I feel like AI is still not even close to where it's wanting to be, where they want it to be, because, they have to program it in order for it to be truly an AI. It wouldn't need any further programming. It would just be able to think on its own, which at this moment, I asked it questions. The questions I got were a mixed bag of some responses, but overall, the through line was I research data, I research algorithms, and I make the best decision on what I've been given. So at the moment, AI is not really AI. It's just Google. So at the moment, I'm not super worried. I did not like how it was forced upon me. And I was like, nope, this is not me. I will not succumb to this. And then I was like, you know what? Let me do a little bit of research. Let me see what this is all about. And so far, it's been nothing but a crapshoot. Nothing to worry about. And that's going to be it for me today, people. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube at Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. New episodes drop every Thursday morning. Make sure to like, subscribe, rate, review, and do all that good stuff. And yes, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I will see you guys next week.